At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Is the Josh Graham Show with you on Westwood One Sports during the final round of the U.S. Open, an elimination game at the College World Series as well. However, that's not actually where we will begin today. We start with a PSA that some American sports fans really need to accept if they haven't already. The U.S. is officially a soccer nation, and 10 days into this World Cup, it's just time we all acknowledge what should be clear from what your eyes tell you. Believe your eyes. But don't just take our word for it. Here was Fox's longtime World Cup announcer, JP Dellacamera, on our show this week saying just this.
We knew in 1994 that there was going to be a pro league, but did anybody think that it could grow to 30 teams in a relatively short period of time, that MLS would have their own stadiums, that they would bring in a David Beckham, all the way to the point now where they've brought in a Lionel Messi, Zlatan in between, and so many other players. Like, that's the difference. Like, MLS became a standard bearer. We didn't have outdoor soccer at a high level in this country before then. Back in 1994, if you wanted to say the U.S. was not a soccer nation, I might even agreed with you at that time. But when I hear people say it now, it's a ridiculous statement to make. We are a soccer nation.
A lot has changed from the last time the U.S. hosted the World Cup in 1994 and now. But think about what he just noted. Lionel Messi, the best player in the world, who just netted a hat trick in the World Cup this past week, has been playing his professional soccer in the United States for years now. Yours truly was there in Washington, D.C., the first time that David Beckham ever played a road match for LA Galaxy, and that was a couple of decades ago. Stars all over the place. Zlatan Ibrahimovic. This is soccer country material. Also, soccer, if you just want to get practical about it, has surpassed basketball as the most popular youth sport for kids 12 and under. And that's only going to grow given what this World Cup's impact will be, you would think. Here's a thing we need to also adjust. Us being a soccer nation means that American soccer culture has matured to the point where we can stop imitating the British now. In response to some booger picker telling him to stop calling the sport soccer, the notorious American commentator Alexi Lalas responded, quote, "I call it soccer," this is on X, "I own it profoundly. I never apologize for it. If you grew up calling it soccer and changed out of insecurity or some misguided belief, it makes you more authentic/credible. It doesn't. It's cringe. It makes you look like a weak poser." Della Camera mentioned after our interview, he refuses to say football rather than soccer because, of course, we have football in this country. Alexi Lalas is exactly right. We have our own way that we talk about sports in America. Don't run from it. Don't be embarrassed by it. Embrace it. We don't call it pitches. They're fields. We don't call them boots. They're cleats. We say 0, not nil. Honestly, the way some MLS teams have pandered to winning over the pretentious early on Saturday morning waking up EPL soccer bros, it's been a bit of a turnoff. It just doesn't resonate with American fans. What the hell is a Real Salt Lake? New York City FC? You mean the freaking Giants? We've got football teams. In addition to employing Alexi Lalas, Fox deserves credit for assigning Americans to work American soccer matches. Like, this might sound like a no-brainer to you, but it wasn't always this way. Past World Cups, when ESPN had the rights, they'd have the Englishman Ian Dark call the matches. By the way, he's fabulous, but he's not American. When you hear him call a match, you're thinking this guy you should be in some pub watching Man United play Liverpool. The Fox commentators are John Strong and Stu Holden. By the way, JP Della Camera has been doing it for decades. For Fox, he's part of the broadcast team too. If you're trying to grow the sport, if that is a concerted effort still by the folks at Fox or just writ large, U.S. Soccer Federation, you name it, make it consumable to casual American sports fans. It is just common sense to find announcers that sound like the people that you're trying to reach. You don't want the game to sound foreign. So for some of those casuals who've been resistant to soccer, you need to hear the message that America is a soccer nation. If you're one of the people that have been a soccer diehard forever, calls it football and wears the scarves and wakes up early on Saturday mornings, you need to hear the message that there's nothing that turns the casuals off more and is more counterproductive to the sport than the pretentious gatekeepers that say there's a certain way you should be talking about the game that, by the way, goes up against the way we talk about all the rest of our other sports. But we do pose the question, is the United States of America a soccer nation? Are you okay with that distinction? Are you comfortable with that distinction? 310-840-4910 if you want in. This segment, sponsored by our friends at Progressive Commercial Insurance. They protect small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com. We've got Mike Mayer taking your calls, 310-840-4910. We've got Will Dalton, who is the producer of this. Hi, Will.
Hello, America. America.
Was just introducing you, and you feel the need to do that.
And this is called a dramatic entrance because there's dramatic things happening out at the U.S. Open at Shinnecock, whatever they're calling it.
Shinnecock Hills.
That's right. Wyndham Clark has been the story since day one, right? However, Sam Burns just got his fourth birdie of the day not too long ago from downtown. Bang! A 49-foot putt. As now he's getting closer and closer to Wyndham Clark. He's at 5 under par. It's very exciting. Wyndham Clark's
Would have
5
had
under. Sam Burns is 4.
Would have had more respect for you, honestly, if the update was just, can you just hit me with the update music one more time, real quickly? Mike Mayer, real quick. Would have respected more if the update were simply this. This World Cup, this U.S. Open's been boring. Wyndham Clark
Has it?
is leading and is going to win. And then cut.
Has it been boring?
Just cut it. Boring? He was 6 under through the first round, and no one sniffed him the entire tournament. And now he's at 5 under, and
Now it's getting good.
And then there's Sam Burns, and then there are guys who are 4 shots back. In a tournament, we were told that 4 under would probably win the whole tournament. If that's not boring, don't know what is. Yet, you know what's also annoying? We talk about the pretentious soccer nerds. It's football, actually. Make sure you say Turkey A rather than Turkey. Those folks.
Oh yeah.
It's the golf bros who try to tell us how awesome watching a bunch of dudes shoot 1 under is. Love golf, love soccer, but
You do this every time. It's like the scoreboard's like this. Every time.
don't like it. Don't like it. Call a spade, be consistent. That's what we are here. We're a couple of days away from the NBA draft. Here are the 3 biggest storylines entering that NBA draft. And again, the phone number, 310-840-4910 if you want in on the question of, is the U.S. a soccer nation? 3 biggest storylines entering the NBA draft. Number 1, it's the Utah Jazz. Well, actually, they're at number 2, Josh. It's true. The Utah Jazz at number 2. That is the biggest story of this draft. It seems clear A.J. DeBonsa is going to be the number 1 pick to Washington. The fact that the Wiz hasn't moved the pick to Utah, who seems pretty obvious why they would be interested in A.J. DeBonsa and want to take him, it should be enough evidence. The fact they haven't moved that pick to Utah and got something in exchange for it tells you they want to take A.J. DeBonsa. But at number 2, will it be Cam Boozer at Duke, or will it be Darren Peterson at Kansas? Could it even be Caleb Wilson from North Carolina? Danny Ainge is a bit of a wild card, doesn't mind doing the unpopular thing. The last time somebody traded a pick inside the top 3 was Danny Ainge going from number 1 to number 3, and he was right at taking Jason Tatum. At the time, he was ripped for it because, well, Jason Tatum was seen to be a bit of a wing, and they already had Gordon Hayward and Jaylen Brown on the team. So don't let positional overlap be a reason to think they wouldn't take Cam Boozer? Oh, they got Jaron Jackson Jr. and Walker Kessler, and they got Lauri Markkanen. We'll see. Could go either way with them. And by the way, all of this is happening with Utah as Walker Kessler turned down a lucrative contract extension, and there are rumors out there that Keontae George is going to do the same thing. The next storyline, 4 second-tier point guards. The 4 second-tier point guards to Darren Peterson, who's in a tier by himself at the top of the draft. After you get past the top 4 players in the draft, the next quartet that we're mentioning here of best available players, they might all play that same position. You might be looking at 5 point guards taken in the top 10. And the difficulty is trying to put them in order. Arkansas's Darius Akoff is the Trae Young-like scorer. Illinois' is Keaton Wagler. He's got the physical traits, and he took Illinois to the Final Four. Louisville's Mikael Brown Jr. has the highest athletic ceiling. Houston's Kingston Fleming. He's a speed demon. Other than Fleming's, any of the 4 could go number 5 to the LA Clippers. And then maybe the largest story, but certainly one we got to note here, the Milwaukee Bucks. The honest trade talks are hanging over the entire league right now. It seems like it's going to be the Miami Heat, but don't write off the Boston Celtics. Don't write off the Minnesota Timberwolves. If the trade is completed in time for Tuesday's draft, Milwaukee should have a bevy of picks. Trying to completely reboot. They have number 10 already, but maybe they get number 13 from Miami too. Maybe they move back from number 10 as well, collect more first-round draft picks in what seemed to be a very deep draft, and the type of player they might take is kind of hard to forecast too when we don't know what players are coming back in a Giannis trade. So those are the 3 big storylines going into the NBA draft. The Jazz, what they're going to do, keeping things close to the vest. The second tier of top point guards, Acuff, Wagler, Mikael Brown, and Kingston Flemings. And then the Milwaukee Bucks, of course, trying to figure out what exactly the plan is for Giannis, whether or not he moves in time for the draft start 2 nights from now. Jeff Goodman's going to help us out with this as well. Field of 68 co-founder joins us next hour. But the U.S. Open, it isn't the only major event going on today. There's another championship happening that several sports could take lessons from. That, Andrew calls 310-840-4910 is the U.S. of Soccer Nation. Next on The Josh Graham Show.
We're a month away from NFL training camps opening. The return of Patrick Mahomes, QB battles in Cleveland, Minnesota and Atlanta. Myles Garrett joining Matthew Stafford in LA. Get ready for football season with Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Sports presents Josh Graham.
Yes, we have the U.S. Open. Wyndham Clark holding on to a one-shot lead, approaching the back nine. Sam Burns in the wings, and then a group at 1 under par. Going live in Omaha. Live to Omaha, North Carolina 4, Oklahoma 2. The Tar Heels need to win this game to force a winner-take-all, winner-take College World Series. Game 3, Oklahoma, kind of like Game 1, jumped out 2-0, but the Tar Heels have had the response. That's in the top of the 5th inning. And we are asking the question, if you'd like in on it, is the United States a soccer nation? 310-840-4910. How do you feel about that characterization? But getting into the College World Series for a second, college sports leaders should use Omaha as a guide for some of their other championships. Omaha and the College World Series have become a perfect marriage. They're like the older couple you meet that say they met when they were in middle school, fell in love in high school, got married as high school sweethearts, and then were married for 60 years. You know, when they do the dance at the wedding, stay on the dance floor if you've been married for 10 years, 15, 20, and then you get to the grandparents, which is the relationship goals of maybe the great-grandparents. We've been married for 60 years. That's the relationship between Omaha and the College World Series. The city completely embraces the event, regardless of which schools are playing in it. It's become part, when you think about a city's culture, sports is a part of it. And what is the sports culture of the city of Omaha? The College World Series has become part of it. Every team and its fans absolutely love the experience of going to the College World Series. Not just the park, but also the Jell-O shots at Rocco's or the steaks you get at the Drover. The history of this event in Omaha is staggering. Every College World Series since 1950 has been held there, and they have a contract to continue hosting this event through 2035, and there'd be a riot if they don't extend it further than that. Both college basketball and college football should take notes from the College World Series. The Rose Bowl should be, for college football, what Omaha is for college baseball. Can somebody remove their pride from the situation and figure out a way to make this happen? Namely, the folks in Pasadena. We can't have the Rose Bowl any other time but June or January 1st, and it must kick off every year at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern time because that's the way we've done it for 100 years. Okay, that's fine. In order to move off a tradition, you better have something great in exchange. How about having the national championship played in your stadium every year? So rather than people thinking about the Rose Bowl as being the semifinal game or even quarterfinal game now that's played on January 1st, it's now thought of as the game that is truly the granddaddy of them all. That is the College Football Playoff National Championship. College football feels like it's at its best. College football is at its best and biggest when they are in that venue. So that's college football. Figure it out. As for college basketball, this was something it took yours truly a little bit of time to arrive at. But after experiencing it up close, full bore, we're here. Indianapolis should host the Final Four every year. Went there this year. If you haven't been to the Final Four in Indy, here are some of the things you'll learn upon showing up. Yeah, other cities have NFL stadiums that they host the event in, but not any other NFL venue was literally created with the Final Four being hosted in mind. Like the Lucas Oil Stadium was created with the Final Four and hosting Final Fours in mind. Because basketball's first in the state of Indiana. If you ever went to a Pacers game, you'd understand that that building, you go to other NBA venues, the expression multi-use arena comes to mind. Oh, well, this arena wasn't built for basketball per se. It was created to host concerts and also to host hockey games and to do all sorts of things. You know, monster trucks or whatever. You step into the Pacers arena, you recognize, oh, this was created for basketball. This is for basketball fans. They love ball in Indianapolis. Now, North Carolina is still the hoop state, but we don't have an outdoor football stadium that can host the thing. Bank of America Stadium's outdoors, so The next closest thing is Indianapolis, and they have so much history hosting it, and it's the NCAA signature event, and the NCAA headquarters are in Indianapolis. Everything's so convenient. Everything's so walkable. All the hotels are right there. They've got everything down to a science, and regardless which teams are there, they're going to support it, and it's going to be a tremendous atmosphere. So Indianapolis should host the Final Four every year. The Rose Bowl should host the national championship in college football each year, following suit what we've seen as a success story with the College World Series in Omaha, Nebraska. Now, you might disagree with those assertions about college football or the Final Four, and if you're in that space, you're probably going to hate the next question we ask here. Are there other sports, namely in the professional ranks, that could benefit from playing championships at a neutral site? What about the NBA or the Stanley Cup Finals? Not advocating for this, by the way, because you have series that make things a little bit difficult. But this is where the strain of thought began. What was the big topic of conversation, well, other than the political one, going into the Knicks' first home game of the NBA Finals? Other than the president being there, a conversation that was central was the tickets are impossible to afford. You're talking about $8,000, $9,000 it costs to get into the building at MSG? You know one thing that would fix that? If they played in a football stadium, let's say hypothetically in Las Vegas each year, where they have the Summer League, where they had the NBA Cup this year, they play in the Raiders Stadium, let's say. Let's say they had the NBA Finals in the Raiders Stadium, and it was there, kind of like a residency for 2 weeks. Then you wouldn't have to worry about travel affecting team performance or any of that. The media might prefer the convenience of it. Owners might like it because you get more of a big cut, and fans might look at it and say, hey, we could afford to go to one of these games. We can afford a ticket to go to, given that it's supply and demand. It's a football stadium. We can afford to go to game 1 or to game 2, game 3, game 4. We can afford this now. There's now an accessibility with it that doesn't exist right now when you're playing in home arenas. I'm a diehard Carolina Hurricanes fan. My dad showed up to game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals because I was working it, had a press pass. He's like, hey, this is a true story. Hey, Josh, what time are you rolling up to the arena for game 1? See, my dad, we grew up right outside of Raleigh, diehard Canes fan. He's like, oh, what time are you rolling up to the game? Knowing I have a parking pass. It's like, I'm like, Dad, Gary Bettman has a press conference at around 4:15 Eastern in the afternoon. So I'm probably going to get there around 3:30, get my credential, whatever. He's like, yeah. You mind if I meet you at the Bass Pro Shop about 3 or 4 miles away from the arena? Park my car there. I ride in with you. Sure, Dad. Do you have a ticket? No, but I'll get one. Uh-huh. Gotcha. So he wanted to bypass the $95 it costs to get to park at the arena. Success. All right, you're in my car. You got there. Cool. We're right up to the arena now. Dad, I got to go into the arena. Sorry, I'll see you after the game. I'm not going to leave the game until a couple hours after it ends. So it's going to be at around 1 in the morning that I'm going to be leaving. Okay, cool. If I need a ride, I'll let you know. Got it. So apparently, my dad brought $700 to the Stanley Cup Final, Game 1, and he had it in a fanny pack, in cash, attached to his person, showing up to the arena. And he gets in. I text him right before puck drop. I'm like, did you get in? He's like, yep, got in. How much? $700. Oh, okay. So then I meet up with him at the end of the first period. It's during the intermission. And my dad, he reaches down towards his fanny pack that I expected to be empty at this point, and he pulled out $700 of cash. I'm like, Dad, Didn't you say it costs $700? Why are you walking around with that? He says, oh, it's all digital now. So for the rest of the night, he's just walking around with $700 cash in his fanny pack for the rest of the night. So get done with the game. Get done with post-game. Denton Day was hosting that night, so I connected with him and talked to him about the game, broke it down on Westwood One Sports Night. And I'm walking out of the arena with Mike Maniscalco, longtime play-by-play voice and longtime announcer for the Hurricanes. And it's an empty parking lot. We're walking right out of the loading dock where the players walk out of. And who do I see wearing a Eric Cole jersey, white jersey, right there at the loading dock at 1 in the morning? That would be Scott Graham, my dad. Hey, man, you mind giving me a ride back to the Bass Pro Shop? Yeah, Dad. Yeah, Dad. Gotcha. Not going to leave you in this parking lot at 1 a.m. That's a long way of saying, if you were at a neutral site, it might be a little less pricey. And it's another way of saying, Happy Father's Day, Dad. Appreciate you listening. For sure he probably is listening right now. Maybe he isn't. I don't know. Happy Father's Day. College sports leaders, they should use Omaha as a guide for other championships, namely in the collegiate ranks with college basketball and college football. Things are getting interesting at the College World Series. Mentioned 4-2, North Carolina leading Oklahoma. That's going into the bottom of the fifth. Or are we through 5 now in Omaha? No, still in the bottom of the fifth. Wyndham Clark was at 6 under, it felt like a snap ago, is now at 4 under, trying to hold off Sam Burns. That next group consisting of JT Poston, shout out to Western Carolina where he went to school, Tom Kim, shout out to him as well. Scotty Scheffler not too far behind that. So we'll see if things get interesting on the back nine at Shinnecock Hills, the U.S. Open wrapping up during this show. There is no possible way that you can predict the way we're going to pay tributes to USA manager Mauricio Pochettino, but that tribute is next on the Josh Graham Show.
The U.S. men's national team is 2-0 for the first time since 1930. After an historic start, is it too early to dream of America celebrating its 250th birthday with a World Cup trophy? Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Josh Graham Show, Westwood One Sports. World Cup action. Belgium and Iran, scoreless tie, 75th minute. Japan, 4-0 winners against Tunisia. Spain, Viva España, 4-0 winners to open action in the World Cup today against Saudi Arabia. That's what we have right now. Nothing too crazy, but you have two more matches on the way. Uruguay at 6 p.m. Eastern time is going to face Cape Verde. And there's one that we're missing. It's the late one. New Zealand is going to face Egypt. That's in Vancouver, Canada. 9 p.m. Eastern time. That one will start. The United States is already through to the group stages, has already clinched Group D with one match left to go. And they have a new manager who's from Argentina, named Mauricio Pochettino. And one of the big takeaways through the first 10 days of the World Cup, casual soccer fans being introduced to Pochettino and learning he looks a lot like Russell Crowe. Yes, he does. So in honor of America, even though Russell Crowe is from New Zealand, but in honor of America, and Mauricio Pochettino, not from America either, but he is the manager of the American soccer team. In honor of Mauricio Pochettino, my top 5 Russell Crowe movies. Top 5 Russell Crowe movies. At number 5, American Gangster. If you're expecting Les Mis to be on this list, you're not going to be happy. Yours truly not really much of a musicals guy. Russell Crowe couldn't really sing all that well in that, so that's not a top 5 Russell Crowe performance. We're leaning on Denzel. We're leaning on Russell Crowe. This movie's better than Body of Lies, where Russell Crowe is co-billed with Leonardo DiCaprio. American Gangster is the number 5 Russell Crowe movie. Number 4, The Nice Guys. This is a genuine cult classic. Last decade, I think it was 2014 this came out. Russell Crowe, really funny in it. Ryan Gosling, legitimately hilarious. The Nice Guys. If you haven't given that a look or haven't watched it in a while, could be a good rewatch or a good watch for the first time. Number 3, Russell Crowe movie, L.A. Confidential. Probably his most critically acclaimed movie. Heck, Kim Basinger, who's throwing 100 in it, somehow won an Oscar, Best Actress, for her performance in L.A. Confidential. It's a crime classic. Danny DeVito, Kevin Spacey, L.A. Confidential, in at number 3. Number 2, Gladiator. What? Gladiator's at 2, not at 1? Yes, it's at 2. It probably is, among millennial men, the most watched movie to get you in the right headspace mentally. Like a pregame hype type of movie. Think Ray Lewis said he watched it before every game. Forget if that's one of the movies that LeBron James lies about, saying that he loves, before not being able to say any scenes from it. No, wait, that was The Godfather. And oh yeah, he's reading every book and they're all on the first page. Okay. We don't need to make this a drive-by on LeBron. Gladiator is in at number 2, not as a slight to Gladiator, but because of how much we love the movie, that comes in at number 1. That is 1999's The Insider. This is the most prescient movie that Russell Crowe's ever made. It's Michael Mann directing it. It's Al Pacino playing a news TV director or producer. It's Christopher Plummer playing Mike Wallace of 60 Minutes. And the themes of this movie, the subject matter of this movie, it's really good, with Russell Crowe playing the role of a tobacco scientist, whistleblower, and a lot of other elements age very well from the movie. With respect to Proof of Life, A Beautiful Mind, Cinderella Man, even Nuremberg from last year, these are the 5 best Russell Crowe movies. And to quote Spencer in our chat at Westwood One Sports Night, are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Will Dalton, how many of these movies have you seen?
I think I've only seen Gladiator. I think that's the only one.
So you don't have any knowledge at all of Russell Crowe? Master and Commander?
No. I need to see Nuremberg. That's the next Russell Crowe movie I need to see. And it's on the list. This
is the part that's frustrating about you. There are many things that are frustrating about Will Dalton. But you just said the next thing you need to watch from Russell Crowe is Nuremberg, right after I just listed 5 best Russell Crowe movies, 4 of which you have not seen, and Nuremberg wasn't on that list.
Well, that's the one I have the most interest in seeing next. I'm interested in that story.
But wouldn't you be more interested in the movies that I say are really good, especially if I have seen Nuremberg, and also don't know if we should out the guy, but Wake Forest coach Steve Forbes is a huge historical movie fan, basketball coach, ACC Hoops, and he's a mutual friend of ours, and he said he didn't think Nuremberg was that good. And if he says that,
I need to find out for myself.
and I just told you it's not that great.
Well, it doesn't change the fact that that's the next one I want to see.
Other than The Insider or LA Confidential that are... See, really, it was hard to come up with the fifth. The top four of this list, unassailable. We weren't going to have Cinderella Man, Beautiful Mind, Master and Commander, American Gangster, Body of Lies, Nuremberg. None of these movies were going to infiltrate The Insider, Gladiator, LA Confidential, The Nice Guys. It's kind of like the NBA draft. It's like, all right, we know what the top four are. And the top four are Boozer, Devonsa, Peterson, and Caleb Wilson. Those are the top four. And then you could kind of pick who the fifth guy is. But those are the four.
See, it's frustrating because I can't have like a legitimate opinion on this. But from what I've heard, Cinderella Man, I am a little surprised that didn't maybe get the fifth spot.
Let's bring Michael Mayer.
And I'm also surprised Gladiator wasn't number one.
All right. What do you think of the list, Michael Mayer? Did you have thoughts on the Russell Crowe list? And meanwhile, hold one second. Before you answer that, Will Dalton, see if you can find pictures of Mauricio Pochettino and Russell Crowe to put side by side for people to arrive at their own conclusions on our YouTube at Westwood One Sports Night or on X at Josh Graham Show. Yes, Mike Mayer.
I'll just say I'm stunned that Gladiator wasn't number one. I'm stunned.
Have you seen The Insider?
Like I'm not an avid Russell Crowe movie watcher, but when you think Russell Crowe, you think Gladiator. You not entertained? You think that movie. So I love
Gladiator.
Yeah. I'm
Have you
stunned
seen The Insider? Have you seen The Insider?
I have not seen The Insider. So maybe if I did,
think about this.
I would understand.
Think about this, Mike. I love Gladiator. And it's not a slight. There was not one bit of criticism in the Gladiator appraisal. And yet The Insider was better. So that's me. It's a celebration of The Insider.
No, exactly. No. So now I'm going to have to watch it, like because that's like the upset
I think
there.
He's
Like
just trying to be different, Mayor.
No, and maybe that's it too. Also,
No.
shout when you brought this up as like a show idea, I instantly looked into my head. I was like, Pochettino absolutely looks like Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
So that's a good one. That's a good one.
YouTube and on X, we're gonna pull this here. Will Dalton, quite the accusation there. He's just trying to be different. Find me the
Gladiator.
Find me the sports show in America that's ranking Russell Crowe movies. I think just doing the segment itself is different enough. Don't think that I need to be different in zagging and having a bad movie be number one. The Insider is my favorite Russell Crowe movie. Fight me. You want to find me? Not going to tell you where the specific address where I'm at, but you want to fight me? I'll take my shirt off and fight you in the street over it.
Yeah, I'll pass.
That's what I'll do.
Here's Coach
Mauricio Pochettino.
There
I don't think you call managers coach. I don't think you do that, just for the record. But that might also be pretentious soccer talk, so I have no issue with you. Call him coach. Call him coach all you want.
Russell Crowe.
That looks like AI Russell Crowe. That doesn't even look like Russell Crowe.
Well, let's find a different picture. I mean, the point still stands, though. Looks just like him.
So, AI has gotten really good.
Okay.
Is the AI good enough that we can have Mauricio Pochettino in Gladiator? Like, we can have a Gladiator remake, but it's Mauricio Pochettino's face on Russell Crowe's face instead.
That is just
that
incredible.
Man side by side. Russell Crowe and then Mauricio Pochettino. Let's see him. Is just an incredible. I didn't even recognize you changed the picture. I didn't even recognize it. See, that's insane. Mauricio Pochettino and Russell Crowe. That is the United States manager. A Argentinian man that looks like a New Zealander. That's the American soccer coach. Yeah. Make sure if you haven't already, you're subscribed to the podcast, to the YouTube channel, for no other reason than to see the handsome man, Mauricio Pochettino's face that we're talking about. Westwood One Sports Night is the YouTube channel. However, and wherever you listen or watch, greatly appreciate you spending time with us. Apple Podcast, Spotify is where you can find the audio-only podcast feeds. We're going to be joined by Jeff Goodman, Field of 68, breaking down the NBA draft in less than a half hour from now. It is Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. I have a 19-month-old son, so I'm right there with you in the trenches, regardless of what stage that you're in. And we'll part this hour with this Father's Day feel-good story. How about a feel-good Father's Day story to close out the hour? According to WKRC-TV in Florida, an 85-year-old man was arrested after allegedly street racing at over 100 miles per hour in a sports car while smoking a cigar. When confronted about it, he told police, quote, "I was just having a little ride in my favorite car." Close quote. And there's a picture. This is the part where I wish I had sent Will a picture of this man's headshot, because it is your grandpa smiling. That's what it is. It looks like Grammy or Grandpa with the biggest smile. Your old peepaw smiling in the picture. So that's my wish for all the dads out there on this Father's Day. I hope all of you have the opportunity to smoke a cigar and have a little ride in your favorite car. Jeff Goodman joins us in just a little bit. If you're loving the passion that you've seen from international soccer fans in the World Cup stateside, it frankly should look familiar to you. And we'll tell you why next on Westwood One Sports Night.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes.
Back on the Josh Graham Show, Westwood One Sports. We're ahead of
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Josh Graham Show, Westwood One Sports. Jeff Goodman joins us 20 minutes from now, breaking down the NBA draft that is a couple of days away. There is one big takeaway from the first 10 days of North America and the United States hosting the World Cup. One big takeaway that you should have. College football and international soccer are very much similar in the amount of passion their fans have for the sport. To put it differently, if you were to create an animation of college football fans in America and international soccer fans, it would be the Spider-Man meme. College football is the American sport that matches the passion of international soccer fans best. Just pay close attention to what's gone viral on your social media feeds. What are the restaurants and the hot spots that these fans from other countries are most enjoying? Waffle House, Buc-ee's, Chick-fil-A. These are SEC country staples, you guys. Think about the soccer fans who've become internet stars, internet famous. Perfect example, the Congo fan that had the pose, struck the pose, and didn't move for the entire match. Ask yourself, what sports fan in America is most likely to do that? What type of stadium is that fan probably in? You know that's college football. You could see somebody doing that at Camp Randall on a Saturday at Wisconsin, or the Oregon Duck at Autzen, just standing there as an Andy Kaufman-like bit in Eugene. It seems every international fan is wearing cowboy hats. Special shout out to Ella Langley for hooking up that one Georgia fan. Speaking of music, we might have a new American anthem on our hands. There is a song that has been a revelation at NFL international games, and now it's become a fixture at World Cup matches, regardless if the United States is playing in the match. That song is Take Me Home Country Roads by John Denver, and here was the crowd in Seattle singing it following United States 2, Australia no score. What's more college football than that? By the way, a question to you. This could be in the chat. Westwood One Sports Night. You can chime in here. We'll get to the best comments. Or 310-840-4910 if you want in. You remember when the Russians couldn't participate? They were banned from participating in the Winter Olympics a few winters ago. And thus, they had a couple Russian athletes that were still able to participate, but if they won, they couldn't play the Russian anthem, so they had, air quote, an alternative anthem they had to play. What is our alternative anthem? We love the Star Spangled Banner. That always comes first. But what is, maybe frame the question a little differently. What is a better American anthem? Freebird or Take Me Home Country Roads? Will Dalton.
I think I go Freebird on this.
Or Mambo Number 5 by Lou Bega. Or Who Let the Dogs Out, Baha Men.
No, I think you had it right. I think Freebird might be the anthem. I do.
How great would it be if you had Americans standing with their hand on their chest and you hear bump, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who doesn't love Lou Bega?
Will we hear Born in the USA? Will we hear anything on that? Or nah?
Why would we bring up Born in the USA?
Well, we're talking about anthems.
Uh-huh. And?
Could that categorize as a American anthem, Born in the USA?
Did you just do the thing? Is this a bit? I'm just curious.
No.
You're being serious.
We're talking about American anthems.
Yes. So you are being serious. This isn't a bit.
I'm just asking it, could that be considered one? I'm not saying I would put it there, because I don't think I would, but some might.
Yeah. If you're the one that puts Born in the USA as an American anthem, I just invite you to read the lyrics to Born in the USA and ask yourself if that is if that is a patriotic song in any type of way. That would be the question I would have to those who suggest that song. I would personally prefer Baha Men Who Let the Dogs Out. And that song's a little bit more patriotic than Born in the USA, which is to say that Born in the USA is not very patriotic, despite what the title of the song is. 310-840-4910 if you want in. Getting back to the central point, college football is the American sport that matches the passion of international soccer fans. Hot Carlito writing in, Born in the USA is less patriotic than the USSR anthem. Daily Row, Germany loves country roads. It does seem that internationally, when people think about American songs, that song does come up very early on in the proceedings. Have you ever noticed, if you traveled outside of the States, that most people who do an air quote American American impression, usually do the Southern accent? Most times that's usually what you get. But getting sidetracked again. The closest American sports feels to a World Cup is college football. Because if we're being honest about the NFL and the NBA, and frankly more pro cities, just pro cities in general, the atmospheres feel very corporate. You go to an NFL game, you go to an NBA game, it does feel very corporate. The reasons the matches don't feel that way in pro cities during this World Cup is because those who are in the stands are different than the ones that are going to NFL and NBA games. The international soccer fan is very tribal. And also, so are college football fans. And that means there is much more passion involved. But really, the larger story in the past week and a half has been how warm our country has been to international fans visiting. That's largely the story we've seen over and over and over again. And that seems very college football as well. And this matches my personal experience. Now, if you visit a college stadium as an opposing fan, you might not have this experience. We'll use the example since Mike Mayer's a Buckeye fan. But like, if you are an Ohio State fan and you decide to visit Ann Arbor wearing all your Buckeye gear, you might not be received all that well. But for me, I used to, before having kids, or kid, singular, me and my wife, we used to go to a different SEC football stadium every year. And when we'd show up to Knoxville, unaffiliated, we'd just show up to Knoxville to watch a Tennessee football game. When people found out that we were from out of town, they were like, well, do you want a hot dog? Hey, do you want a drink? Hey, here's a pullover. Do you want a hat? Go to LSU. Here's a beer. Hey, let me introduce you to my friends. Hey, come to this tailgate. Hey, guys, they're from North Carolina. They've never been here before. Hey, welcome. That's the experience that you largely get. And that's what it should remind you of when you see the way that many of these international fans are talking about their experiences in the United States. College football, international soccer, the passion, very similar. This segment is sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance. They protect small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com. Will Dalton, your North Carolina Tar Heels have to win today to keep their season alive at the College World Series. How are they faring in doing so? Your mic is on mute, Will Dalton.
6-2, bottom of the seventh inning. They've got Glauber on the mound, who is the Heels
Who's
are
they?
28 and
North Carolina
Heels.
has Glauber. Got it.
Correct. 28-0 when he pitches, and I'm knocking on wood here, but looks like they're about to make it 29-0. So far so good. Not out of the woods yet, though. This is a really strong offensive Oklahoma team, so I'm not taking anything for granted.
That's very wise of you to throw at the end, because right now this has been a really painful or stressful exercise. The Baltimore Orioles are facing the twice reigning champion LA Dodgers. And on Friday night, the Baltimore Orioles, as I was on air, Westwood One Sports Night, were leading the Dodgers 3-1, bottom of the ninth inning. 3-1. Or, pardon, it was 5-3. 5-3 they were leading. Then you get a Mookie Betts home run with 2 outs, runners at first and second, a base hit to right scores 1, throwing error plates the game-winning run. They lose. That was painful. Then on Saturday night, last night, the Orioles are leading going into the bottom of the ninth by 3 runs. It's 3-0. Dodgers do the same thing. Leadoff home run, Shohei Ohtani this time, back from fatherhood. Congrats to Shohei. Father's Day weekend, how special that is, welcoming your second child. And then you have a ball literally hit the chest of the right fielder on an error with 2 outs that would have ended the game, setting up a situation where there's runners at first and third, the highly paid Kyle Tucker at the plate. It's a one-run game, and he strikes out. The Orioles survive. But that's a long way to say, just because the Orioles are leading right now 4-1 in the third inning against the Dodgers, I ain't feeling good about anything until the
I
final
don't blame you.
out is recorded there. So
Orioles are going to Oriole.
always, it's important to remember. How did your Yankees do today? I didn't follow.
Not good. Not good. Dropped one to the Reds again.
Hate that.
So that's frustrating. Back-to-back
that's awful.
days. No, yeah, sincere.
You hate to see
Can tell.
Chase Burns get a win
Yeah.
today for the Cincinnati Reds. Hashtag ProDeeks. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Go Deeks. Chase Burns getting that thing done there. Nobody knows more about the prospects that are going to be taken in the NBA draft a couple nights from now than Jeff Goodman does. And he'll share his thoughts on the lottery and the latest intel that he's been given ahead of the draft next on The Josh Graham Show.
We're a month away from NFL training camps opening. The return of Patrick Mahomes, QB battles in Cleveland, Minnesota, and Atlanta. Myles Garrett joining Matthew Stafford in LA. Get ready for football season with Westwood One Sports.
Back on The Josh Graham Show, Westwood One Sports. We're ahead of the...
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Back on the Josh Graham Show, Westwood One Sports. We're ahead of the NBA draft. Tuesday nights, the co-funder of the Field of 68, Jeff Goodman, joins us, the Field of 68's co-founder. And since the NBA draft is right in front of us, let's focus our attention on two groups of four players at the top of the lottery, with A.J. Debonsa, Darren Peterson, Caleb Wilson, and Cameron Boozer. How much separation do you see between the four, and in what order would you put them in?
I think there's three right now that are clear. Like I think Caleb Wilson is clearly four in that group, just because he can't really shoot the ball yet. He's great athletically. He looks the part. People want to compare him to Kevin Garnett because he plays hard. He plays with kind of a high motor. But he's still got a ways to go. And I don't think you can be a number one player in your team if you can't shoot the ball. So to me, it's A.J. Debonsa, Darren Peterson. Those are the argument for the number one pick. 2 years ago, I think I was the first to have Peterson as the number one guy on the board. And then obviously everything that's gone on, Josh, this year with Peterson has not only caused me, but a lot of NBA guys to kind of scratch their heads. Well, what's wrong? What's wrong here? Was it a competitive issue? And I think that's the biggest thing right now. If you're Washington and you're Michael Winger with that pick, you've got to be a little bit cautious here. You've got to be a little bit fearful that if you take a guy like Peterson and it goes awry, such like a Markelle Fultz, and I think Peterson is far more talented than Markelle Fultz or Ben Simmons. But again, you got to be a little bit careful right now because of what happened this past year. And I understand the full body cramps in the preseason. I get it all. It was a PR nightmare by his dad, his family, his agency, all that. A.J. Debonsa is the easier pick. He was productive. He's 6'9". He's got similar upside as Peterson. But again, he doesn't have the red flags coming out of his freshman season that Darren Peterson has.
Back in November or December, a college coach told me, if you want to know what this NBA draft's likely going to be like, look at the 2022 draft with Paolo Banchero, Jabari Smith, and Chet Holmgren, where we know who the top three picks are going to be. Just good luck trying to figure out the order. What would be most surprising to Jeff Goodman in the top three?
I mean, the most surprising would be if Boozer went number one, but I don't think there's any chance that happens. So
what do you think
I
the
guess
most surprising thing you could see happening? Probably a better way to frame it.
I mean, I guess if it's just Washington going Peterson at one at this point, or one of those three guys slipping out of the top three. I had preseason, even earlier in the year, I had Boozer, I think, at number 4 or even 5 because NBA scouts really questioned at that point whether he was athletic enough and could score over length at the next level. I think he's proven that for the most part, and I just think there's a gap. There's a gap between Boozer. He was a National Player of the Year. All he does is win. I understand he's not that athletic, but his three-point shot got better. He was able to finish over most length in college. So I think he answered most of the questions that NBA guys needed to see. And I just think he's a fit in Memphis alongside Zach Edey. He's also a fit for what you want for Memphis with their organization right now, right? You want high character. You want a guy you can – he may not be your number one, but again, you look at everything that's happened with Ja Morant. Trust me, Cam Boozer isn't getting caught with a gun.
That would be very surprising as well. Maybe the most surprising thing to happen to a player in the top 3. Jeff Goodman's with us, field of 68. So the top 4 of Peterson, Tabonsa, Boozer, Wilson, that's gotten enough attention. Let's get to the quartet of point guards that should likely be taken in the top 10. Darius Acuff at Arkansas, Houston's Kingston Flemings, Illinois star Keaton Wagler, and Louisville's Michael Brown Jr. How closely compacted do you see these 4 point guards?
Oh, so compacted. I mean, I'll talk to a different NBA guy. They'll have a different order. I mean, again, those 4, you could throw them in a hat. It's all what that organization really values and what they want. Obviously, Acuff is probably maybe the best offensive player of the 4, but the worst defensive player of the 4. Doesn't have the size of some of those other guys. Fleming doesn't shoot it great from 3, but man, he's super competitive. He can guard. He's only going to get better. Keaton Wagler came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
at Illinois this year. Wasn't a top 100 player. Probably the best deal NIL-wise in the entire country this
Can you,
past
by
season.
the way, double-click on that? Because if memory serves, Kansas high school player of the year, and yet Kansas and K-State didn't want him.
Crazy, right? Nobody saw this coming. Illinois didn't until they got him on campus. And he's obviously got the size. He's more of a combo guard. I think it's going to take him more time than the other guys to adjust to the NBA game, the NBA lifestyle even. I think it came so quickly to him. I think he's got to develop into a little bit more of a killer at the NBA level. We'll see if that happens. And to me, the best guy for my money is Michael Brown Jr. He is the guy whose stock was at its lowest of those 4 coming out of college, had some back issues, had some other issues with, how he fit in with that Louisville, with all those guards that Pat Kelsey brought in. The season didn't go great for him, but I think you're buying his stock at his lowest, and I think he's got the highest upside of all those guys. He's got the most well-rounded game of all those guys as well. He's 6'5". He could shoot the hell out of the ball. He can make people better. He's got big-time athleticism now that's come to him over the last few years, so he's still kind of adjusting to being able to really dunk on dudes. And they're all great kids of these 4. I will say this, really, all of the guys we've mentioned so far, really, really high character. Darren Peterson gets a lot of crap, but he's a great kid. He's admitted, not antisocial, but he's not AJ Debonsa. He's not doing every interview. He'll sit there, whether it's on the bench or whatnot, with kind of a blank stare on his face. So some people take that to mean he doesn't love the game or he's not into it. That's just how he is. He's got that kind of – it's why it's really surprising for me, Josh, that the year went the way it went, because when I saw him on the AAU circuit, I was like, this dude is super competitive. And what he can do overall is insane. How easy the game comes to him scoring. We saw that this year, but he's a better facilitator than he showed this year because, frankly, Bill Self put him in the corner to try to not hide him, but preserve him, I think, health-wise throughout the end of the year. But this kid can do everything. What we saw out of Darren Peterson this year was not the Darren Peterson or anything close to the Darren Peterson that I saw a couple summers ago.
The field of 68's Jeff Goodman's with us here, and we keep hearing that this is one of the best lotteries we've ever seen, but that also probably means there are players outside of it that might be able to land on NBA teams. So how about we look at players that you're convinced are going to be really good pros, probably going to be taken outside the lottery. First thought as a first rounder is Emeka Ibuka at Stanford is a name that comes to mind, or Purdue's Braden Smith might be a second rounder, that obviously a decorated college point guard. Who's a prospect that you love that is going to likely be selected outside the lottery?
Yeah, and I think Ibuka's moving up. I think he's moving up where he'll end up probably going somewhere higher than I think even people realize. I would say a guy to me that probably has a chance to be much better than people think is Dylan Mitchell coming out of St. John's. He was a McDonald's All-American coming out of high school, went to Texas, kind of fought it a little bit of like what he was, tried to maybe be something he wasn't, which is like more of a stretch four, showing that he could shoot the ball because that's what NBA guys were saying he couldn't do. And he's embraced under Rick Pitino the fact that he's just going to be an energy format, super athletic, plays hard, plays above the rim. So I think he'll be a steal for somebody in the second round. I just think he'll be one of those guys that you see coming off the bench as a rotation guy for a playoff team that just, again, is super active and gets things done.
Since you're an insider who gets told a lot of things, must ask this question. What's the wildest thing you've been told by a reputable source regarding this draft?
I guess the wildest thing is we all say how great a draft it is. And the wildest thing that I had somebody say was that they think there'll be one all-star to come out of this draft, which I thought was insane. But again, you look at it and you're like, all right, well, if Peterson doesn't live up to the expectations, and what if Boozer isn't an all-star, but he's a next-tier guy, and what if AJ, doesn't develop into what we think or he thinks he's going to be, and these guards are good, but are they all-stars? I mean, I kind of went through it. Most years, the average in the top 10 picks since 2000, the average is probably 2.5 all-stars. 2.5 all-stars in the top 10. We think when we look at it, this draft, we're like, man, there could be like 7 all-stars. The most we've ever seen since 2000 that have made at least one all-star team among the top 10 picks is 4.
Oh, 3?
Yeah, 4. Not that high.
So that's LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony, and probably one
and
of
Bosh.
And Bosh, yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So let's play this game then. Last year you have Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper, VJ Edgecombe, Con Knipple in the top 4. If for whatever reason this year was a double draft and they were together, how many of these players in this year's draft go over those top 4?
I mean, Cooper goes 1.
Yeah.
Cooper still goes 1, in my opinion. After that, I would say Harper goes below these guys. Harper's done more than people thought he would do this year. Like, again, and it'll still be interesting to see his progression, right? What is his progression like? He came off the bench. He was terrific, and he's obviously super mature as a player, and he's always been that way. But these guys have higher upside probably than Dylan Harper.
But it meets, by the way, it meets what you're saying. 2.5 all-stars. Okay, there's the 2 for sure, Cooper and Dylan, and we'll see about Con or VJ Edgecombe.
Yes. I think again, this group has, to me, more potential. I guess more guys that I don't think will fail. How's that? I mean, Peterson is the one, and again, I was the biggest Peterson fan ever 2 years ago. Like, I was the one saying, like, hey, maybe he could be a top 5 player in the NBA. And now I'm just way more cautious after watching him tap out. And I think, again, I don't blame it on him as much. I think he was told after those the full body cramps in the preseason, the moment you feel something, you tap out. We cannot have you going into these full body cramps in front of everybody watching you on national TV. So I don't think it was quite his call in a lot of ways, but I also think he could have fought it. He could have fought it a little bit more.
Jeff Goodman, Field of 68. Let's close with a couple quick things real quick. How often are people bugging you, asking you about naming rights of Field of 68 since the expansion news?
Every single interview. Every single interview. Like, you're going to change your name?
Darn it.
And we haven't made the official announcement, but we are leaning towards keeping it as Field of 68, because I tell everybody, like, how many teams does the Big Ten have?
Exactly.
Right.
That's, I think, a really smart idea. Swerve. Don't go with it, because then it's going to expand again. Anyway, last thing. I believe that when you're wrong, you should admit when you're wrong. I got this national platform, and I said, I'm the only national voice across the country that is a diehard Carolina Hurricanes fan. And frankly, I just need to apologize and say I was incorrect, because here you are, Jeff Goodman, also a Carolina Hurricanes fan as well. Or to get the correct title, Stanley Cup champion, Carolina Hurricanes. How much did you enjoy last Sunday night, a week from tonight, and going to a Stanley Cup game?
You know, Josh, like, you're a diehard, and you have been a diehard longer than I have. I'm kind of a bandwagoner fan the last 7 or 8 years. My daughter became a Carolina Canes fan. So, but I've been through it. I've been through it since, you know, this group was young, and watched them grow, and been to tons of games, went to Game 5, spent more money than I've ever spent for a sporting event, and it was worth every penny of it. It was so good. Love this team. You know, love Brendan Moore, what he did. I mean, he's just, honestly, he might be my favorite coach, and I don't know him. Other than Terry Francona, he might be my favorite coach at any level that I've kind of seen and watched. I just love how honest he is, and how I think, you know, he's all about the right things. He's all about, again, effort, and doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. So I wish I was at the parade, but man, it was such a fun ride. How about my daughter, Josh? She roots for 2 teams. She went to Indiana. From her freshman year was atrocious, right? And then obviously her junior year, they turn it around and flip it completely. She roots for Indiana football, and she roots for the Carolina Hurricanes. That's it. That's it. I'm like, you'll never have this again. Like, this is insane.
That's amazing. I can relate to it. I got the Orioles and the Hurricanes. So that just means Magic's coming in October. Jeff Goodman, thank you so much for doing this. Love the work you do at the Field of 68. Find him on all the socials and on YouTube. And appreciate you making the time for us. It's greatly appreciated.
Likewise. Thanks, Josh.
You're welcome. There goes Jeff Goodman. Appreciate him spending the time with us, Field of 68, ahead of the NBA draft on Tuesday. By the way, smart move on his part. Stay the Field of 68. It's got a ring to it. They shouldn't expand. It's a bad decision to expand. And don't let the bad decision dictate your business. It also gives you, it lets us know that you know ball. You've been around, right? After a while, it's going to be like, oh yeah, you've been doing this since it was 68, where it should have been the entire time. And he's right. How many teams are in the Pac-12? How many teams are in the Big Ten? What does the Atlantic Coast Conference? Who's in the Atlantic Coast Conference? Cal, Stanford? He's right. He's absolutely right when it comes to the naming rights. Keep it the way it is. Oh boy. Wyndham Clark just bogeyed another one. He's at +3 for the day, yet leading a major championship by 2 shots, because that's fun. We will be here through the end of the U.S. Open at Shinnecock Hills out in the Hamptons. Here's the question of the day, though, that we actually want your thoughts on. 310-840-4910 if you want in. Is the United States a soccer nation? Are you comfortable with that distinction? We'll discuss next on the Josh Graham Show.
The U.S. men's national team is 2-0 for the first time since 1930. After an historic start, is it too early to dream of America celebrating its 250th birthday with a World Cup trophy? Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
presents Josh Graham.
Josh Graham Show, Westwood One Sports. We were talking about how Take Me Home Country Roads has been a bit of an American anthem during this World Cup. The same way that during the Olympic run for the hockey team, Freebird had become that. Will Dalton, how do you feel about Fish Lore Guy writing in? Sweet Home Alabama, great American anthem. By the way, much closer to being an America song than Born in the USA.
I would agree with that. I would absolutely agree with that. I don't know why I didn't think about Sweet Alabama, but it is true.
Mike Mayer, what do you have?
They were playing this during the game on Friday. Living on a Prayer.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Could see that.
I like that. Yeah.
It's a lot more difficult of a song to sing, but it is a fun song to sing. And by the way, we would not do Sweet Home Alabama as the American anthem for the same reason we probably wouldn't do Born in the USA as well. Not the most patriotic songs that you can pick. The only objection I would have is there is no point of Living on a Prayer that is celebratory towards America at all, but you could make that same argument about Freebird as well. Is there a part of Freebird that is patriotic in any way except for the fact it just sounds awesome when the United States scores goals and we play the guitar riff? Probably not.
I mean, that's it. That's it right there. It just sounds cool and we like it.
310-840-4910 if you want in on that topic. Also, we're just asking this question. Is the United States a soccer nation? 310-840-4910. Because getting to that, a PSA that some sports fans in America need to hear, frankly need to accept, if they haven't already, is that the United States is officially a soccer nation. 10 days into this World Cup, that should be a takeaway. That should be clear. It's time we all acknowledge this. But don't just take our word from this. We have this sound, we think. Let's go to Fox longtime World Cup announcer JP Dellacamera, who was on the show this week, saying exactly this.
We knew in 1994 that there was going to be a pro league, but did anybody think that it could grow to 30 teams in a relatively short period of time, that MLS would have their own stadiums, that they would bring in a David Beckham, all the way to the point now where they've brought in a Lionel Messi, Zlatan in between, and so many other players. Like, that's the difference. Like, MLS became a standard bearer. We didn't have outdoor soccer at a high level in this country before then. Back in 1994, if you wanted to say the U.S. was not a soccer nation, I might even agreed with you at that time. But when I hear people say it now, it's a ridiculous statement to make. We are a soccer nation.
They are a soccer nation. A lot has changed from the last time the U.S. hosted the World Cup in 1994. Since then. But the thing he noted that's just so key to this, Lionel Messi is the best player in the world. He just netted a hat trick in the World Cup in the past week. He's been playing in Major League Soccer for years. Yours truly was at the first road match that David Beckham ever played in MLS with LA Galaxy. It was in Washington, D.C., and that was 2 decades ago. Zlatan Ibrahimovic has played in this league. That's soccer country stuff. It just is. Also, soccer surpassed basketball as the most popular youth sport for kids 12 and under, just participation numbers. And that's only going to continue to grow, especially as a result of the World Cup, you'd think. Us being a soccer nation also means that American soccer culture has matured enough that we could stop imitating the British. So frankly, there is something here to the hardcore soccer nut listening and also to the sports casual that just is trying to reject reality. That American soccer, this is a soccer nation and people care about soccer here. It matters. It's a real sport. It deserves to be acknowledged. We care about it here. We do. So that person, you should listen to that. But the hardcore soccer nut needs to listen as well because we need to stop the imitating the British act here. We have matured as a soccer culture enough where we can stop imitating the British. In response to some booger picker telling him to stop calling the sport soccer, call it football, the notorious American soccer analyst Alexi Lalas responded, quote, this is on X, I call it soccer. I own it proudly. I never apologize for it. If you grew up calling it soccer and changed out of insecurity or some misguided belief, it makes you more authentic or credible. It doesn't. It's cringe. It makes you look like a weak poser. JP Dellacamera even mentioned after our interview that he refuses to say football, always has on his broadcasts, for this reason. It's not how Americans talk. And that's your audience. And that's your trying to reach. We have our own way of talking about sports in America. We should embrace it. We don't call it pitches. We call it fields. We don't call them boots. We call them cleats. We say zero, not nil. Honestly, the way some MLS teams have clearly pandered to try to win over the pretentious wake up early on Saturday morning EPL bros, it's been a bit of a turnoff. What the hell is even a Real Salt Lake? New York City FC? The New York City Football Club? You mean the freaking Giants? Honestly, respect to the Nashville team that calls itself Nashville Soccer Club, as you should. But in addition to employing Alexi Lalas, Fox does deserve credit for assigning Americans to work American soccer matches. This might sound like a no-brainer. Hey, here's a novel concept. If you're trying to grow the sport and make it consumable for casual American fans, maybe you find people that sound like the people you're trying to reach. You don't want the game to sound foreign, do you? Some do, actually, though. And that's the part that's weird. The American soccer fan who says, oh, the way that they do it in Europe is best, and we're going to wear scarves and do all this stuff. We don't do that in America. In past World Cups, ESPN, when they had the rights, they'd have Englishman Ian Dark calling the matches. And by the way, Ian Dark's fabulous. He is. When it's not the United States playing, want him calling every match. And he is calling this World Cup for Fox, but he's not on the American games. You've got John Strong. You got Stu Holden for that. JP Dellacamera, American. Jenny Tapp, American. Like this is 101 for how to resonate with an audience, how to potentially grow it is, or perhaps allow yourself to, or just prevent from alienating yourself. Make the game as easy to consume as possible. And that's the message. It's something there for everybody. That if you are the casual sports fan that might push back on the idea that America's a soccer nation, there's something for you. If you're the pretentious douche that calls it football and is gatekeeping casuals from being interested by policing language and how you refer to things, yeah, well, there's a message for you too. 310-840-4910 if you want in. Let's go to Sean, who's in Virginia. Sean, where are you at on the idea? How comfortable does it make you, the distinction, United States, soccer country?
I believe that the way that you're describing it, I believe that to be true. If we're discussing it as what is the number one sport in your country and that's what you're defined by, obviously it's not that. And that's okay. Do I think that we have legitimate soccer here? Do I think that more and more people will be involved and follow this team and this World Cup because it's here and because we're doing well? Absolutely. I'm totally.
Hold on a second. Just because you brought up the point, let me address it real quickly, and I'll let you keep going.
Yeah.
Like it's not saying that this is the number one sport in America. Like if I asked anybody, hey, is the United States a basketball country? They'd probably say, yeah, Michael Jordan's from here. We win all the gold medals. Like, we're the best at basketball. And you would say that. If you said America was a hockey country, would you agree with that? I'd probably say yes, too. We just won the gold medal in hockey. Hello? Like, that baseball. Is baseball the most popular sport in America now? No, but it's our pastime. We're a baseball country. We've always coexisted these sports. But there's something about soccer, it makes people uncomfortable when you lump them in with the rest.
I think a lot of that has to do with just that it was, like you're saying, there was almost a gatekeeping, I think, from other countries, that have it as their most popular sport. So they didn't want us to have it as well because we have so many other sports. But that's the great thing about this country is that we're just like, oh, that one? Yeah, we can do this. And we can have a legitimate league where, if I'm not mistaken, I think 40 to 45 MLS players are playing in this World Cup. Now, yes, it's not
Correct.
as much as the European leagues, but it doesn't mean that we don't have a great product that's out there that is featuring the best player of our lifetime in Lionel Messi and still has players like Heung-min Son in LAFC. It has
or just good enough to be respected. That's it. Good enough to be respected.
Exactly.
And by the way, I'm up against it. Sean, it's so good to hear from you. Thank you for calling us from Virginia. Virginia is for lovers and also for good sports talk phone callers, is what we've learned right there. 310-840-4910 if you want in on the program. Ahead of the NBA Draft Tuesday, we have 2 bets to place. We'll share those with you next on the Josh Graham Show.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Is the United States a soccer nation? 310-840-4910. That's one question we're asking. Also, the best American anthems for sports teams. Is Take Me Home Country Road superior to Freebird? 310-840-4910. If you want it. Hi, Will.
Hello, America. Let's talk some golf. How about that? Seriously, though, Sam Burns, he came into today trailing off the lead by 7 strokes. And now he's just one back of Wyndham Clark, who just bogeyed 13, by the way. So 4 under to 3 under. It's getting a little dicey at the U.S. Open. Why are you shaking your head at me? This is big. This is massive.
He bogeyed 13, but then parred 14. So just did it. It takes 15, 20 minutes to play a hole. So the definition of just, or the justification of the word just, when you do a live show and we're talking about things in real time, is the issue there. Believe it or not, Will, was planning to talk about the U.S. Open, given that we're on in 300 markets across the country and in Canada that might care about the U.S. Open, and that's just my job when the microphone opens up to talk about sports topics that the larger sports public cares about. And in fact, in some cases, make the public some money, some De Niro, some Skrilla. We have a segment called Graham's Gambling where we do that right now.
Sitting back, count money all day, you know. It's time for Graham's Gambling. Let's make some money.
Okay, checking in on our golf bets. Never again with Corey Connors. It was a tradition, Will, every major. We'd find a way to work Corey Connors top 20 in, and it usually would cash out, but It hasn't of late. And Corey Connors was comfortably in the top 20 earlier today. Comfortably entering today. +3. Final round score. Tied for 23rd. Corey Connors, the Canadian, dead to me. And Xander Schauffele was our pick to win. That's not going to happen. We placed 3 bets. It was Corey Connors top 20, Xander Schauffele to win the tournament, and then Ty Hatton top 10. And here's the good news. Where Corey Connors taketh, Ty Hatton giveth, 3 under par to finish tied for 7th right now. So that, at +40, is a massive win for yours truly. We'll take that. To the NBA draft we go. 2 NBA draft bets we're going to place. Will Dalton, Cam Boozer +180 to be Utah's pick at number 2. To be clear, the language that's used on sites such as our friends at DraftKings is the pick at 2. It's not stipulated by team. It's because there's a chance that you could move picks, obviously. So you're betting where guys are going to be drafted. Since Utah has not traded up to number 1 at this point, don't think it's going to happen. Because Utah hasn't gotten the number 1, that probably should tell you that Washington's going to take A.J. Devonta. So it's a decision between Cam Boozer and Darren Peterson, and betting markets reflect that. And they have Peterson still as a heavy favorite. That's not correct, though. I think it's going to be Cam Boozer going at number 2 out of Duke. +180, that's the direction we think that Danny Ainge is going to go in. And at plus money, we're going to profit from it. The second NBA draft bet that we will place, Darius Acuff Jr. to be the number 5 pick at +370 odds. Will, there are 2 players that have better odds to go at this pick than Acuff. Mikael Brown Jr. and Keaton Wagler. And even though Mikael Brown Jr. has become this flashy jazz hands type of name, it's just hard to imagine that Steve Ballmer moves off of James Harden at the deadline, and you have this new building, and you have Kawhi Leonard there, and who knows if the league's going to punish you and lay the hammer down in the future on what type of picks you can have because of this cap circumvention, Pablo Torre, Kawhi deal. That if you know you have an elite level scorer, a Trae Young type of talent in Darius Acuff, that you just pass up on it. So at +370, I just like it from a value perspective. I think they're going to do it, and at +370, that's just kind of hard to pass up.
I think
Any
I've
objections?
come around on. No, I think I've come around officially on Cam Boozer going to the Jazz at 2. I've been kind of back and forth on the fence with it. I just think it makes a lot of sense. I really do. I don't know if the Jazz want to go for Darren Peterson and some of the availability issues that he's had. I don't know if they want to go there.
Sam Burns is officially in the clubhouse. He shoots a 3 under 67. He is 3 under par for the tournament. 1 shot back of Wyndham Clark. This could probably wait until there's a little bit more security on what's going to happen, Will. But are you going to argue, really try to argue, that this is fun? That a guy's at 4 under par, and the only drama remaining in this tournament is whether or not the course is so hard that this guy is going to be able to finish at even par through the final 3 holes? Whether or not he's at 3 over for today, Wyndham Clark. And that's the guy we're going to be celebrating if he holds true at even par the final 3 holes.
I mean, I think it is fun. Because I'd like to see the chase here. Throughout the day, Burns and Clark. I've been enjoying seeing the chase. And now, yes, I find it interesting seeing if Wyndham Clark, as you just pointed out, is 3 over on the day.
I love a chase, man. I
this?
love a Mr. Freeze, whatever, guy in Atlanta tracking down the guy who gets the head start at the baseball park, right? But that's because of an achievement from Mr. Freeze. This right here it's not Wyndham Clark being hawked down. It's Wyndham Clark hawking it up. That's not more fun to watch.
I want to see if he can hang on. Is he going to choke
like
it the rest of the way?
I like celebrating excellence, and it's hard.
Well, his first day was excellent.
Great. Not as many. That was on USA Network. This is on NBC. People weren't watching Thursday. They're watching now. And this is the product you're putting forth? I'm sorry. It's just... And I say this in an upset way because I love the game. I love golf. I do. I love major championship golf. This ain't it. It just isn't. And you can disagree. That's fine. 310-840-4910 if you want in on the show. We are asking the question, is the United States a soccer nation? How about we go to Ted, who's in D.C.? That's been Graham's gambling, by the way.
Thanks for taking my
Ted,
call.
what do you have for us? Yeah.
Yeah, and to answer your question, yes, I think we are a soccer country. But I want to share some perspectives in terms of the U.S. I'm a veteran, a world traveler, and I think it's not that soccer may not be the clear description that we should be calling it. I mentioned earlier, we have a way in this country of kind of claiming and owning things like in baseball, it's the world champions. I think we have one team in another country. In the NBA, it's world champion. And in NFL, in the Super Bowl, we announce it as world champion, which I think is a bit off because we don't have any teams in any other countries. And I'm not anti anything. I support all American sports. Been a Washington, D.C. football fan, Washington Redskins, Washington Commanders, for 60 plus, and I'm all D.C. But I don't know what to suggest in terms of what we call soccer, but I think if you've been an international
why not just call it soccer? Why not just call it soccer?
Because it's really football. And
it isn't, though. This is our country. We call it soccer. We have a sport called football already here, and that's okay.
Yeah, and in terms of how the game is played, it is played with the feet. So that would be the proper name for it.
Basketball was named after peach baskets. We don't use actual baskets anymore. I mean, come on, let's not get literal here. We call it football, American football. We have American football already, so we call it soccer, and that's fine. Like, why is that an issue? Is my question. Like, why would anybody have a problem with in America calling it soccer? I mean, we named our league Major League Soccer. That's the name of the league.
It's not necessarily a problem, but I would prefer it to have a more of an international flavor. Okay. To the sport, because that's what it is. It's not an American sport. It is international, and it's bigger than who we are. So I can understand that, hey, we've got a football, and we're going to go with that and stay strong, but I'm just giving a perspective on this, okay?
I get your perspective. I agree with it. Yeah. I just don't agree with it. I respect it. I just don't agree with it. Okay. I appreciate the call, Ted. We got to move on. There goes Ted in D.C. I understand everything that he just said. I get it. I respect it. I do. I just firmly and wholly disagree with it. I do. That the idea that other countries call it football, when we've had American football here for over 100 years, and that's why we call it soccer, like, we have our own history. We have our own way of referring to things, and that's fine. And frankly, I'm talking to an American audience here, a North American audience here. It's who I'm talking to right now. So, with respect, in the context of this conversation, do not give a damn what anybody in Europe, what anybody in South America thinks about how we should be speaking. That's up to us. And in soccer, or when it comes to soccer, that is what we call it. And when you start calling it football, that's when it sounds pretentious. It sounds like you're doing too much. Or to quote Alexi Lalas, it's cringe. Jim's in Seattle, 310-840-4910. Jim, what do you have for me?
Yeah, sports anthems. Boston Red Sox, remember what the score is. They always play Sweet Caroline. Jack Crockett always played YMCA.
Okay, YMCA, heard that. Appreciate the call. Don't think the signal's all that great, Jim. From Seattle. Jim! Got to work the Romo impression in there somewhere, Will. Is that as good as an American anthem as Freebird or Take Me Home Country Road? If you're doing Sweet Caroline, Sweet Caroline actually is a really good nomination. Not sure if the YMCA is what we're going for. We have a good time with the YMCA, but that's kind of been co-opted as being like a theme song for the president, which kind of makes it a little bit political and divisive, whether it's, the theme song for one president or another, whatever side you're on. So I think, probably Sweet Caroline's a good nomination.
See, this is where it's tough for me because we live in the state of North Carolina. We've been there for Panther games where they play it after every Panther win. To me, and I've been at Brave games where they play it, and this is where my lack of traveling outside of the East Coast.
It's a Red Sox anthem before it's anything else, Will. I live in North Carolina. It's not close.
You talking about Sweet Caroline?
Yes.
Really?
Do you know what Sweet Caroline's about? I guess
No,
this
I
is
don't.
you
I
not
just know we
knowing things
play it.
happened before they were born.
We played at Panther games.
It's a song that Neil Diamond wrote for John F. Kennedy's daughter, Caroline Kennedy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And he needed, I forget the name of he needed a 3-syllable name to fit a melody. And he was married, I forget the name of his wife at the time. But apparently it was a 2-syllable name, and it didn't fit the melody. So he decided, for some reason, the president's daughter came to mind. And it was Sweet Caroline. Talking about the president's daughter. That's why Sweet Caroline is what it is. It's not about North Carolina in any way whatsoever.
Well, I didn't think that it was. I just know we kind of adopted it, though. At least it seemed that way.
Yeah, but the Red Sox did it first. The Red Sox did it first.
The point still stands, though.
Is
this a national thing? Like, if we go out west, like, is it going to have the same impact? I'm genuinely asking. I don't know.
It's a good question. Let's go to John, who's in New York. John, is the United States a soccer nation, John?
The borderline, maybe a borderline soccer nation. No, I would say it's probably not a quote-unquote soccer nation because it's not usually in the sort of top 3 or 4 sport coverage, but it's because America's such a great nation.
So where's the cutoff?
Athletic nation.
So we're are we a basketball country because it's not? Are we not a basketball country because football is more popular?
Yeah,
are we not a hockey country even though we won the gold medal in hockey?
No, I would count. Those 4. NFL, NBA.
So
Major
why
League
cut it
Baseball,
off
NHL.
at soccer? Is the question.
I just get maybe just more shallower roots, I guess, and it's sort of a more Johnny-come-lately, and basically Americans only, general, pay attention to it when World Cup or when America's in a big tournament. So
does it?
You can maybe
So,
put soccer-
but hold on a second. Hold on a second. Here's the issue with that. Here would be the argument against that. We have the world's best player that's been playing in our country for the last few years. He just had a hat trick. Don't say he's over the hill. He just had a hat trick this past week in a World Cup match. And then, on top of that, the most popular youth sport, U12, in America for a while now has been soccer. I think I saw somewhere one of these years that the most popular sports video game is FIFA. And we're the country where, a lot of these video games are being created in. I mean, just when you look at it from those, how far do you have to go to put yourself in a loop before you say that? Why do we have an issue with this is probably the larger question. Why would we push back? We wouldn't push back on hockey. Why soccer?
It's not a criticism against America. America's a great athletic nation. So, yeah, they can. But listen, the U.S. is not in the, and it's my favorite nation, obviously, but it's not in the top several dozen in terms of world rankings, even though it's doing well so far at this World Cup. That might change, right?
They're ranked in the top dozen. They're one of the top dozen teams right now. Some places have them as high as 9th. Some places have them 11th or 12th.
I don't know. In the official FIFA rankings, I think they're kind of in the 30s. So I could be wrong. Maybe about that.
Let me double check.
I did want to talk about the soccer versus football in terms of what we call it. I'm totally with you on that. It's totally appropriate to call it. Sorry.
No, please go right ahead.
Yeah, I was saying it's totally. You're 100% correct in my opinion. It's totally correct, and to call it soccer in America. By the way, even internationally, the sport was called soccer before it got renamed, colloquially as football in places outside of North America. So it's correct from that point of view. And just like we don't call foreign country names by their original language in America, we call it Russia, not Russia. We call it France, not France, et cetera, et cetera. Same thing here. We can call it by the name that it's always had in North America. And
by the way,
yeah,
I got the FIFA rankings. They're 13th. Is that high enough?
Okay, still. No, not to be a quote-unquote soccer nation. It's not high enough. I would say no.
Okay, so Italy's 14th. That's not a soccer nation, though. Italy's
won World
14th.
Cups before. They've won World Cups.
Okay, Uruguay is 19th. Not a soccer nation.
It's their favorite sport. It's not America's favorite sport.
But you see the loops that you're putting yourself in. Again, we can just say it is for all these reasons that make sense. That's my part, and I appreciate the argument.
It's more criticism of soccer than America. Put it that way.
310-840-4910. I like this topic. I'm going to stick with it. 310-840-4910. Good to hear from you from New York. 310-840-4910. We'll get to more of your phone calls. Also, the 3 biggest storylines heading into the NBA draft. That's next on the Josh Graham Show.
We're a month away from NFL training camps opening. The return of Patrick Mahomes, QB battles in Cleveland, Minnesota, and Atlanta. Myles Garrett joining Matthew Stafford in LA. Get ready for football season with Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
It seems we struck a chord, if you will. Maybe a better way to say it is we struck a nerve in asserting that the United States is a soccer nation. Doesn't mean you're not a football nation or a basketball nation or even a hockey nation. Gold medals in men's and women's hockey. But it's a soccer nation. They're hosting the freaking World Cup. They have Lionel Messi in their sport. In your country, in America, it's the most popular youth sport. Might be the most popular sports video game. Like, how far do we have to go to tie ourselves into knots arguing against it? And ultimately, if you're arguing against it, ask yourself why. 310-840-4910. Let's go to Chris. He's in Myrtle Beach. Myrtle Beach, Myrtle Beach, Myrtle Beach. Chris, what do you have in on this? Is America a soccer nation?
America is a sports nation, and America is a adrenaline junkie nation. You know, we bet on these sports, and we root for our teams, and we wear the jerseys, and we do all this because it gives us a rush when you're watching your team. And, you know, baseball doesn't get as much viewership as it does until October. And then all of a sudden, like you said, the chase is on, the wild card games, who's going to get in, who's going to move on. It's all about the adrenaline. And, you know, the final day of golf is the most watched. You know, it's not watched all 4 days. It's watched mostly on the final day.
So you don't think we are a nation of any sports? There's no sport. We can't claim that, even though baseball's our pastime, we're not a baseball country. You can't claim we're not a football country, even though we're the one sport that plays it.
No, we do claim them. We are the football and baseball and basketball, but no, soccer or European football, which I'm fine calling it that, originated overseas, became big over there.
Are we a Canada? Are we a hockey country? Are we a hockey country?
We are, only because the massive amount of teams that are in the States. You know, Chicago.
Then why aren't we counting Major League Soccer?
Because we don't have the same. It's kind of like CFL football. We own football here. The Canadians tried to do CFL football. Over there, they might call it a success. Over here, we would call it a failure.
Okay.
If you can't make it
does
in the
Lionel
NFL,
would you agree? Lionel Messi is the best player in the world, maybe the best player of all time. He's not playing in the CFL. He's playing in America.
Correct.
So struggling to see the comparison to the CFL. I mean, did Tom Brady play in the CFL? Because I had forgotten that if he did.
I don't believe so. No, he
Got
played
it.
for Michigan, and then.
Yeah, I hear your argument. Once again, Chris, I appreciate the call because we got a ton more. I just disagree with it. Let's go to Dan, who's in Virginia. 310-840-4910. Are we a soccer nation? Because it's weird seeing the hoops that we're jumping through here to say for whatever reason that we're not, and no one's flat out saying why they're going through all this effort when it's so easy to just say, yes, we are, Dan.
I would say we unequivocally are. I mean, we have all the stats you're bringing up, youth participation. Like, the MLS is growing at an unprecedented rate. We have stadiums going up. I think the big disconnect is between casual fans and what we're seeing is just big media and just, you know, bridging that disconnect. I think if there was a greater proliferation of, like, watching Saturday Night Soccer during the MLS season or that kind of thing where there was a big marketing push behind it, I think we could start to see this argument just be not even needed.
I'm with you, Dan. I love it. I said it earlier that Virginia is for lovers and it's also for good sports talk callers, and I appreciate that one there. It's a great one. 310-840-4910 if you want in. Let's do another. Mike's in Ohio, and he claims to know why we're not a soccer nation. Thank goodness. I've been wanting to know why because I've heard a bunch of reasons. I haven't heard a good one. I need to know why we're not.
I think we can be a soccer nation. Why I think people think we're not is, and I'll take you through it. Like, so
I don't care
America,
what people think. What do you say? What do you say?
I think we are, but I think people think we're not because America invented football. America invented basketball. We're close enough. You know, Canada invented hockey, but North America, so we take it, right? And we invented modern baseball. Yeah, it came from old English sports, yada, yada, yada. The one thing that, you know, and people still say that hockey's the fourth sport here, right? We've got football, we've got baseball, we've got basketball. To a lot of people, hockey's already the fourth sport because it's not an American invention. So the reason people think soccer's not is because we just feel disconnected. I don't. But people do, I think.
So you're saying we never can be. You're saying because we didn't create it, we can never be by that argument.
No, not at all. Like in the same way that we didn't create hockey, I think we've grown to say that hockey is an American sport. And now that, like you said, youth sports, how youth is really picking up soccer these days, I think it can grow the way that hockey did. Like I don't know how hockey was 50 years ago. It's changed a lot. But
The
I
United
think
States
that
has
if
been good at
soccer
hockey
keeps
for a
growing-
very long time. They
Yeah,
won silver
we have.
in 1972 or 70, whatever year that it was. Couple of Olympics short of the 80 win, and they won a gold medal in 1960. So they've been good for a long time.
Its popularity has grown a lot over the years. I think soccer's popularity can continue to grow, and then this conversation now about is the United States a soccer nation will feel like ancient pastime because we'll be like, of course it's a soccer nation. Why would anybody think otherwise?
Well, Mike, I'm glad to hear that you're in agreement with me. I want to hear from people who disagree with me. Mike, it's good to hear from you from Ohio. I like jumping around from different places across the United States. How about we go to the great city of Chicago? That's where Scott is, 310-840-4910. Scott, is the U.S. a soccer nation?
No, I don't think it is.
Why?
I mean, you keep on bringing up the Olympics. I mean, the World Cup. And I think the World Cup is kind of like the Olympics. People follow all these sports they don't necessarily like or love just simply because of national pride. And that's the reason they follow it, and that's the reason they watch it. We're not a swimming nation either, or a diving nation. But if it represents the country, people will follow it, and people will watch, and people will support them.
So you're just completely disregarding Major League Soccer?
Well, I live here in Chicago, and Major League Soccer, no one goes to the games. It's not very popular. It's not very popular.
When Lionel Messi's playing, people go to the games. The best player in the world's in Major League Soccer. What does that tell you?
It kind of reminds me, I'm 58 years old. It reminds me when I was a kid, they had Pele. They signed the best player in the world back then, the Cosmos, I think it was called back then. And that was in
the New York Cosmos. That is correct.
Yes. Hey, but he was the best player in the world back then. Or maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was really washed up then. But Major League Soccer
he was 35 at that point. He was mid-30s.
Yeah. But
it was the last 2 or 3 years of his playing career. He played for Santos for decades. And the problem, some would make that argument about Lionel Messi. The problem with that argument is he's still the best player. Argentina won the World Cup last time we saw it, and oh yeah, by the way, he had a hat trick this past week in the World Cup. So I mean, he's still pretty damn good, and they've brought in a lot of really good players the last few decades. It's worth respecting. I mean, the youth numbers, there's an interest in it. To discard it and say that no one cares, but every 4 years, I just don't think is correct. And by the way, we're forgetting about the women's national team. Are we going to discard the fact that they are the best soccer nation on the women's side in terms of history? We're going to forget that too?
Well, that's because of Title IX, right? Title IX has done a lot for women's sports, so you have to give equal amount of dollars to
that's not Title IX. Title IX is that's a college thing that you're talking about, and also other countries don't have Title IX. But anyway, we're getting down into the weeds.
I caught up a little bit.
Yeah, we've got 310-840-4910. They're Scott in Chicago. I hear that argument. I haven't heard one that's very compelling all that much. Let's go to Patrick. He's in Texas. Patrick, are we a soccer nation? Patrick in Texas.
Hey.
What part of Texas are you calling from, Patrick?
From Houston, which is actually we've got a soccer team.
And had some World Cup soccer games there. Patrick, what's your take on it?
I do not think we're a soccer nation from the standpoint of I go to Dynamo games, there's nobody there. We have a decent team in Houston. They're not great, but every Houston Texans game is sold out. Every Rockets game, there's fans there. We're lobbying for a hockey team. I don't know that we'll get it, but I played soccer for 16 years. I coach youth baseball. I don't know anybody that plays youth soccer. Maybe that's just the town.
You don't know anybody who plays youth soccer? It's the most popular youth sport in America.
I understand, but where I'm located, we just don't play it. We all play baseball. They play football.
Are you denying it's
basketball,
true? The stats are the stats.
No, I'm not going to deny it's true. But when a soccer ticket costs you $18 to get into a Dynamo game, and a football ticket costs you $218 to get in, I think the discrepancy is real. Nobody cares.
I went to an Oriole Yankee game, 4 tickets for $39 total. Does that mean we're not a baseball country? Because anecdotally, it was cheap to get into an MLB game?
Well, you got to look at the amount of games, right? How many soccer games are there versus baseball games?
Now, so again, but we could say that's a dumb argument to make if I can undress it that quickly.
Well, I mean, I don't disagree with them, but you've got 182 games versus 25 games.
I get you.
I mean,
Patrick in Texas, I heard the
cheaper.
argument. We're going to have to speed this up because I got about 6 or 7 different lines to get to. There goes Patrick in Texas. Mitch is in New Jersey. Mitch, 310-840-4910. Mitch, are we a soccer nation? I need 15 to 20-second answers, Mitch. Let's go.
How you doing, Josh? No, we're not. Well, that's why we have the World Cup every 4 years. 5th at best, okay? It's popular with the youth. You don't need a lot of equipment. It's good exercise. But, you talk off-season baseball, hot stove, and football. That just tells you right there what's more popular.
There's your argument. There's Mitch in New Jersey. Let's go to Wooly, who's in South Carolina. Wooly, you're on the Josh Graham Show. Westwood One Sports. Are we a soccer nation? Wooly, are we a soccer nation?
Yes. I live in Gilbert, South Carolina, outside of Columbia, South Carolina. And the University of South Carolina has played really good soccer for my entire life, men's and women's. And we have an excellent Scottish coach. And we're doing well in the Metro, and we beat people. And it's fun to go down to the graveyard and play because they have a stadium with a graveyard in one of the end zones.
All right. I love it. Gamecocks, the whole deal. Appreciate the call, Wooly from South Carolina. Let's go to Guy, who's in Denver. 310-840-4910. Guy, are we a soccer nation?
Hell no. Hell no, we're not. And I feel it's just too slow of a pace for the typical American fans.
Are we a baseball nation? Are we a baseball nation?
We have become more of a baseball nation. I mean, come on, America's pastime. Okay.
I know, but it's slower than soccer. How can that be true?
It fixed up a lot of its problems, Josh. Baseball, I could never watch baseball 5 years ago. It's not so bad nowadays. It's one of those.
It's slower than soccer. It's slower than soccer. You can't say we're not. You can't say it's not. That's the reason, and then it's.
Nation, okay.
So we're not a baseball nation, you say?
We are a football action sports nation. Football.
Got
hockey,
it. Okay.
NASCAR.
So we're not a baseball nation now. Okay.
No.
I hear you. Thank you for the call, Guy. Good to hear from you. I'll reject that as well. 310-840-4910. Flynn is in Ohio. Flynn in Ohio, are we a soccer nation?
No, we are not, because soccer is just too soft and not exciting for Americans.
What do you mean soft? What does that mean?
We have giant men that are hitting each other. In baseball, we teach our players to use bludgeoning weapons. Hockey, we check each other. Basketball,
do you want to get into what registers for a foul in basketball?
And that's why we're starting to become less of a basketball nation. People are losing.
We're not a basketball nation? And you say it's too slow. Are we not a baseball nation? Baseball's slower than soccer.
It's slow, but at least we're using a bludgeoning weapon. It's exciting.
Okay, got it. It's about how tough we are. There goes Flynn in Ohio. I just love hearing in rapid-fire fashion all these takes. Let's go to Zach in Indiana. Zach in Indiana, are we a soccer nation?
So, no, we are not a soccer nation. And I don't know what was up with those previous arguments that you just had to go through, but I got a good one for you.
Give me a good one.
Think about this one.
Mm-hmm.
So I think all the points you're making are right, and their heart is in the right place. However, I just think it's too soon. Like my question for you would be, when did we become a soccer nation. This year, last year,
I'd say
like when,
in the last 20 years, when David Beckham decided to sign with MLS. And by the way, what do you mean too soon? They were a third-place finisher in the World Cup in 1930. We've been playing soccer for a while now. The public's just
too
caught
soon.
up late.
Like good too soon. Like not that
Okay.
we've done it for a long time, but like good. So like the youth numbers and
Okay.
everything you bring up, I think are really good. I just think we have this conversation in a few years, maybe. Like
No,
I
the
just-
youth
right now, I
numbers
don't
have been
think
a
so.
thing for a while. I hear that argument, but I don't think too soon's a thing when we finished third in 1930. There goes Zach in Indiana. We could do one more. Let's go to Mark. Let's go to a state we haven't been to. Mark's in Arizona. Mark, 310-840-4910. Mark, what is it? Is America a soccer nation?
No, I do not believe it is. What I do think it is we are a promotional and a competitive nation. So because it is being showcased for now, and it's international and everybody's coming to the U.S., it is a top ticket. And my other comment is because we are a competitive nation, when Scotland goes to Boston and outshrinks the frickin' city, then everybody else gets even more competitive.
I get it.
So
I get it. I like it.
There I go with the competition.
All right, there you go. Appreciate the call. Maya's in Chicago. We could do, I know I said it was the last one. Let's do Maya in Chicago. 310-840-4910. What do you got? Hi, Maya.
All right. Hey, I want to say that professional engagement and viewership is way too low. If we compare it to football, which, we're definitely a football nation, that garners about 20 million views for the average NFL game. If you compare that to a domestic league, we get about 560,000. If you even hockey, it gets 2 million.
21 million,
Oh, and then if you-
21 million watched the World Cup game on Friday in the United States.
Yeah, but the average, I'm talking about the average game. If you compare it to the Super Bowl, that got
Average what game?
187.
I know, I'm
If you
not
compare
comparing it
average
to the
soccer
Super
game,
Bowl.
Domestic league, the domestic
Okay.
league.
I get
That-
it. I mean, you want to
Yeah,
you want to
like,
you want to
if
make an
we're
argument
competing
for
against-
so TV ratings are deciding whether or not.
No,
we're a
I'm
soccer
talking
nation
about
or not.
engagement in the professional sphere, right? Like, I think
Right.
people who play soccer are not necessarily the same people who are watching soccer, not to mention the fact that it falls off as the most popular youth sport after they enter high school, right? Then it becomes football, then it becomes these other sports. So I don't think that's a fair argument either. But my point is that if you're watching TV, you're going to put on football, you're going to put on baseball, you're going to put on hockey, you're going to put on something else before you do soccer, so much so that the people who watch soccer, it's less than the population of a small city. Now, if you compare that to Italy, which is a soccer nation, I would say, they get about 20 million average viewers for a domestic game, right? And they're significantly smaller. So if you look at 560,000 people per domestic game of a nation of 300 million, I would say that makes us not a soccer nation.
And by the way, Maya, I appreciate the call. It's just you're citing international numbers for those countries, international matches, and then rejecting the 21 million international for the United States. So that's not apples to apples what you're comparing there. We got to leave it there. We're up against it. Maybe Mike Wickett might take some calls on this subject because it's hot. Whew, is the United States a soccer nation? JP Della Camera believes so in joining the show. I believe so. And Alexi Lawless believes so. I think Will Dalton believes so. What do we got to put this show to bed?
One of the most odd 911 calls you'll hear.
Next.
It's an all-deciding Game 3 of the Men's College World Series. UNC, Oklahoma. Who will win the championship in Omaha? Listen to the game live on the Westwood One Sports app. Coverage begins tomorrow at 6:45 Eastern. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Mike Wickett on the way, being told, hey, you want to get in on the is the United States a soccer country conversation? Mike Wickett has thoughts on that. Save the phone number, 310-840-4910. We're not going to put it to bed this time because we have some big news to react to close things out. Wyndham Clark is your U.S. Open champion. And if there is a sound effect to best capture what this U.S. Open has been, it is this one. No, it is not.
Good pull. Excellent.
Let's get out of that. Thank you, Mondo. Appreciate that. The U.S. Open was a bore fest. Not taking anything away from Wyndham Clark. He led it wire to wire. It's not disrespectful to him, but from a viewing perspective, this guy booked a 6 under 64 Thursday and then just parked the bus the rest of the way. It's like the U.S.-Australia match the other day. Usually when there isn't drama, there's at least a memorable individual performance. Think young Tiger at Augusta or Rory at Congressional and the U.S. Open. This wasn't that. After a 6 under start, he shot 69, 70, and then 73 in a winning effort. Disappointing leaderboard. Sam Burns is your runner-up. Scotty was never able to get there. Just boring. And you'll say, oh, you don't know golf. What are you talking about? That shot from the fescue was amazing. The course and the conditions should not be this much of a storyline. For the same way you don't want officiating to be a central conversation in basketball, you don't want it with golf either. A bore fest. Congrats to Wyndham Clark. But that was not good. Mike Wickett's up next on Westwood One Sports.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin